Welcome to Fight News Now. I'm John Pollock, joined by John Ramdeen as Robin Black has fled the country. Mexico. He's gone into hiding because there's no UFC event this coming weekend, so he's free and clear. But not us. We are here, and we are chatting about the other event that went down over this past weekend. That was Bellator 154, which went against the prelims of UFC 198. The major focus on the main event involving Phil Davis and Mohammed King Mo Lawal. This was a very close fight. I thought it came down to the second round. I agreed with the 29-28 card for Phil Davis. What did you sense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but it was so close. I think it's one of these things that you really you have to watch it again, and you have to count all the strikes. You have to count all the positioning because it comes down to math, basically, in this fight. But what they're doing is at least they're trying to create interest in the 205-pound division. I mean, the winner now it's supposed to be Phil Davis getting Liam McGarry.
Do you like that fight?
I mean, I wish Liam McGarry was a little more evolved. You know, in the past, takedowns have been an issue. And whether it's King Mo or Phil Davis, you're going to have a problem with those all night. But he seems like a very driven guy. He is massive, and one of his skill sets is the jiu-jitsu game. So if you can't stop the takedowns, you better be damn creative with your guard. And I think we'll probably see that, but I think we'll see a lot of improvement in Liam McGarry's takedown defense.
We also saw Syed Awad taking on Evangelista Cyborg Santos, who was coming back just 3 weeks after the win over Brennan Ward. Fighting here at 170 was Awad, coming up from 155. And this is kind of the dangerous nature of going for those heel hooks, is if you commit to it, you can find yourself in a very precarious position, as Cyborg did. And the amount of damage he took, this was awful to watch. This could have stopped 45 seconds before it did, and the amount of blows that Cyborg took, it was disconcerting watching it.
It was crazy. However, you look at the previous fight, it's like, this guy's going to go for a heel hook against Ward? Are you sure? Oh my God! You get the stoppage victory in no time. So the problem is, he got the heel hook, and he just kept sticking with it. Now, I wasn't there. I didn't have a hold of it. I don't know how secure it was. Sometimes when you get a hold of it, you know it's there. But again, I think he held it too long, and that was kind of the beginning of the end, because as soon as Awad got on top, he just went to town with ground strikes and scrambled the brain of Cyborg, and he just couldn't recover.
Now, there was some big news coming out of Bellator over the weekend as they addressed a pair of weight divisions and their championships. Let's start off with the lightweight picture, because they have announced that Will Brooks is going to be let out of his
champion.
Their champion, their lightweight champion. He is going to be let out of his contract, which was set to expire in July. He had one fight remaining, or if it didn't, it would expire after July. So now they have no lightweight champion. That will be decided at the Dynamite 2 card at the end of June, when Michael Chandler has a rematch with Patricky Pitbull Freite. In the case of Will Brooks, John, I don't know if they had a whole lot of options, because I think everyone was aware of the issues that these two sides have had. And if Brooks was adamant on leaving when his deal was due, did it make a whole lot of sense to put him against one of your guys that is sticking around and run the risk that Brooks leaves here on a victory as your champion, rather than just cut bait and realize we are not going to be able to extend a deal with this guy?
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. If, I think most people that tune into the sport of mixed martial arts are not fans exclusively to Bellator. They understand that there's other promotions. And I think that just helps the Bellator organization if their current champion decided, I win, I finished the last fight of my contract, and I'm going to go see if the UFC will, if they'll take me, and especially if you can go over to the UFC and make an impact. Look at Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez was the former Bellator champion who lost to Michael Chandler and is now fighting for the UFC championship and could very well become the new 155-pound champion.
I have no doubt Will Brooks will be competitive with a lot of lightweights in the UFC.
I think what Bellator and Will Brooks should have done, this industry is way too small. They should have done the Eddie Alvarez or Gil Melendez thing and just try to figure this thing out. If it doesn't work, you go on your merry way. But it seems like there was...
Does this hurt Will Brooks' leverage? Because now he knows you're not getting a competing offer from Bellator to retain him.
Yes, but at the same time, Will Brooks isn't a household name. You know who he is. I know who he is. I bet you only a handful of people in our office knows who Will Brooks is. If I put up a bunch of pictures, I'm pretty sure people aren't going to be able to point this guy out. So I don't know how much leverage it really is that he's the current champion. So, he's a very talented fighter, and I think the best opportunities are for him to go to the UFC if the goal is to make as much money as humanly possible. However, Viacom seems committed.
Now, they have also finally addressed their heavyweight title scenario with Vitaly Minakov, who has not defended that title since April of 2014. Since that time, he's fought 3 times in Russia, not for Bellator, and they have finally announced they are stripping him of the title, not releasing him, but I think much overdue to strip this guy of your heavyweight title, because I think for a while they were able to kind of deal with these issues because their heavyweight division was not all that active. It wasn't producing a ton of names. Now you've added Matt Mitrione to the mix. You're starting to develop that heavyweight division, and you want to have a championship that these guys are fighting for. Czech Congo's just been going in circles here, and all of the heavyweight division has. So I think it was about time they made this decision, and whether they work this out with Vitaly Minakov or not, I honestly don't believe he's a gigantic loss because I don't think a whole lot of people know Vitaly Minakov on the casual side, as you would coin it.
True, but at the same time, you know, you're stripping this champion, you're stripping that champion. I think anybody that is looking...
John, when they crown a new champion, I guarantee you survey people in that arena, they won't be able to name the last champion.
Yeah, that's true, but I think, you know, when you're trying to bring eyeballs to the show, if you have a title fight or a non-title fight, I think fans are more invested if you have a title attached to it. Now, I agree. Once you bring on the Sergei Haritonovs and you sign the Matt Mitriones, you're going to start creating interest. But if you've never seen Vitaly Minakov fight and you don't know who this guy is, but you know he's the champion, chances are, a Russian champion at that, chances are you're going to tune in instead of just Joe Blow heavyweight who knocks people out. So there is value of having a title around somebody's waist. I don't know how much of a value in this landscape, but you know, at least it's something. But they're trying to develop it, they're trying to build it, but I still think it's a long haul for Bellator.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting division as we see other names coming in, and the prospects of King Mo taking a fight or two at heavyweight. Quinton Jackson, it would make a lot of sense for him that he would fight at heavyweight every now and then. So now it's a division that you at least have a title to build things around. And final thing, they're back this Friday with another card in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah. Is that Melvin? Melvin's on this card, right?
This is Melvin Manhoff taking on Rafael Carvalho for the middleweight championship, and Pat Curran will be taking on Georgi Karahanyan. So they are back within 6 days of their last card. And also, Marlos Kunin will be on the undercard now, taking on Alexis Dufresne, which is no longer for the title after Julia Budd fell out of that fight.
Yeah, that's strange. You'd figure that you try to get some of the whatever name brand fighters you have, I would think you always put them on television. And one thing about Pat Curran is we know that he moved to Chicago, originally from Florida, spent time working with his cousin, Jeff Curran, who fought in the UFC, fought for Pride, but now made the move back to Florida and has apparently been working with the Black Zillions. So we'll see how he looks, because this guy is very talented. He's very special. He could just never take it to a different level, and I think hopefully we'll get to see that from him this weekend.
All right, so Bellator is back this Friday, and then the UFC returns at the end of the month with a big fight night card from Las Vegas with a big emphasis on the bantamweights. We will have a preview show Thursday night, May the 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, breaking down all of the key fights coming your way from Las Vegas.